World's scariest 10 women's prisons. Inmates forced, dehumanized. Number 1 will totally upend your worldview. Number 10. Tadmor Prison, May 2015. As ISIS seized Syria's Palmyra, they quickly blew up Tadmor Prison. What was this place to inspire such hatred? Tadmor Prison lies near Palmyra, 200 kilometers from Damascus. Most know Palmyra for its ancient Greco-Roman ruins, sparking curiosity. Yet for most Syrians, the name Tadmor still feels terrifying today. Especially from 1971 to 2000, during the rule of Hafez al-Assad, thousands of political dissidents suffered inhumane treatment here. They were not only tortured and humiliated, but many were executed without trial. Especially women inmates endure cramped, filthy, airless cells. Without basic sanitation, prison overcrowding leaves inmates little privacy. Food and water are severely scarce. Worse, female inmates endure public bullying and humiliation, destroying their dignity. In 1980, the Tadmor prison tragedy became especially infamous. That day, after a failed attempt on Hafez al-Assad, Brother Rifat's Defense Brigade helicopters flew to Tadmor prison, launching slaughter. Exact deaths remain unknown, but a 2001 Amnesty International report estimates 500 to 1,000 died in the crackdown, mostly Muslim Brotherhood members or supporters during this operation. Tadmor prison uses a panopticon design. A panopticon is a circular building designed to allow every inmate in the prison to be under surveillance. From Greek myth, the giant panoptes had 100 eyes. Tadmor prison has 7 yards, 40 to 50 dorms, 39 cells, plus 19 underground disciplinary cells for isolated inmates. All windows are screened so guards watch inmates anytime. Prisoners never know when guards watch above. They know any move brings harsh consequences. In Tadmor prison, even eye contact meant unforgivable guilt. Torture was training, and death became desired. Many prisoners, tortured, called on God for release. Tadmor prison isn't just Syria's bloody chapter. It also symbolizes totalitarianism's dehumanizing brutality against people. Only after Hafez al-Assad died in 2000 did Tadmor abuses ease. But even so, this prison remains an indelible nightmare in the minds of many. Number 9. Antananarivo Prison. Antananarivo Prison sits outside Antananarivo, Madagascar's capital. Few know its name, but learn more and you'll shudder in fear. Antananarivo Prison has run since the late 1800s, once men only, now a vast complex holding men and women. Designed for 800, Antananarivo Prison now holds 4,357 inmates. The growing female population alone has reached 495. In severe overcrowding and poor sanitation, female inmates face even harsher daily struggles compared with men. Women in prison face violence, threats, and deeper harms from gender inequality. For mothers, inhumane prison conditions bring them unimaginable suffering each day. About 60% of female inmates are pregnant or have children with them when incarcerated, meaning they have to raise their children in extremely harsh conditions. What's worse, guards at Antananarivo Prison sometimes exploit these vulnerable female inmates for bullying. It is reported that female inmates are forced to perform sexual acts in exchange for food and other necessities. As overcrowding worsens, sanitation at Antananarivo Prison keeps getting worse. Many inmates lack basic medical care in overloaded prisons. In years past, outbreaks of TB, pneumonia, cholera sicken many inmates. Data show infectious disease kills 1/3 of prisoners who die each day. Prison food is scarce and lacking nutrition. To survive, many inmates rely on outside help. Some NGOs help, but shortages and corruption still keep aid from reaching every prisoner. Antananarivo Prison corruption can't be ignored. Prison management is chaotic. Inmates bribe guards for better perks, food, clothes, even permission to visit outside. Even more shocking, though violence keeps erupting, many cases go uninvestigated or unresolved. prompting doubts that Madagascar's government cares about inmates' welfare. Thus, Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch repeatedly condemned inhumane prison conditions, urging Madagascar's government to reform them. Yet outside calls persist. Reforms stay slow. Madagascar promised better prisons, but funding gaps, corruption, and mismanagement make that pledge hard to keep. 8th, Indiana Women's Prison. You may know orange is the new black, but real prisons are far harsher. Women's prisons are new. Early on, few women were isolated in men's facilities. Indiana Women's Prison, the U.S.'s first, opened in 1869. Its first inmates arrived 4 years later. Then, prisons were crude and insecure. Inmates cooked and worked with a chaplain instead of the usual punishment. 23 hours locked up daily. These measures weren't for punishment, but reform, bringing offenders back into society as political citizens. Most jailed women weren't black widows or villains, just prohibition girls lured by hooch and contraband. From 1980 to 2006, female inmates here rose 800%. Shockingly, 2/3 of these inmates come from minority groups. Their charges are mostly nonviolent, like hiding contraband or illegal dealings. Yet behind these small crimes often hide deeper, heartbreaking stories. For example, 90% of women arrested for killing men cite long abuse from them. Though views on female crime shift, in this prison, many are deemed beyond saving, mistreated. For many women, this isn't just punishment, it's a crushing blow. Prison violence and bullying are common. Many snap over scarce resources or relentless psychological pressure. Internal prison reports show bullying still occurs. Despite steps taken, poor management and scarce resources leave victims without timely, effective help. More worrying, Indiana Women's Prison medical care is awful. Many inmates develop mental and physical illness during long confinement, but scarce care and poor oversight often delay treatment. Mental health suffers. Many female inmates bear long-term domestic violence trauma, worsening problems. Yet prison counseling and support remain substandard. Number 7. Bang Kwang Central Prison. Rumored a place to meet God. A hell with no escape. Bang Kwang Central Prison, North Bangkok. Bang Kwang Central Prison is notorious for chaining inmates' legs with heavy irons, limiting movement. Many spend life bound, never free. Especially for weaker women, heavy iron chains block exercise for years, causing severe muscle wasting and bone damage. This oppression lasted until 2013. However, chains were the start. Bang Kwang Central Prison's filthy conditions were also terrifying. Water is dirty. Food lacks nutrients. Prisoners usually get one daily meal: gritty rice, vegetables, little meat. Meanwhile, prison bosses live in luxury. Outside feels fresh and thriving, making the prison's filth and barrenness inside seem deeply, utterly ironic. Under such horrific conditions, inmates die often. In recent decades, nearly 40% of prisoners reportedly died within 3 years from disease, hunger, violence, suicide. Most inmate deaths come from filth and poor care. Bang Kwang Prison hides a chilling truth. With almost no prison medical care, inmates miss timely treatment. Minor illnesses worsen into fatal outcomes. Even inmates with serious illnesses find it difficult to get the necessary medical support. Also, Bang Kwang Central Prison labor is near unbearable, especially for female inmates. Manual labor, back-breaking work, and brutal conditions nearly destroyed these women prisoners' bodies and minds. A survivor said many inmates, crushed by labor and strain, collapsed, even developing severe mental illness. Also, Bang Kwang Central Prison is secure. Outside contact is tightly controlled. Here, prisoners are cut off. Few know they're alive. In near isolation, Prisoners vanished from sight. Their loved ones never had a chance to see them again. For the inmates in prison here, the only possible relief came under the shadow of death. Number 6. Conader Prison. 1989. Riots rocked Egypt. Riot. 1,000 plus inmates fought guards. At least 50 died, hundreds injured. 'Cause simple. Fury over Conader prison conditions and management oppression. Conader, Egypt's top prison, 40 kilometers north of Cairo, Nile's West Bank, built by British colonists as a 19th century prison. It later held Egypt's political prisoners and violent criminals. Though expanded and rebuilt many times, its grim reputation still never changed. Independent surveys say Conader Prison is bare. Inmates are crammed into cramped cells, light and airflow lacking. Built for 800 inmates, it held about 4,000 by 2,000 at this prison. Each prisoner had under a square meter. Food and water were scarce. They endured conditions, with disease and malnutrition routine. Survivors told the outside world of brutal tactics used in prison. Management treated female inmates even worse. Rights groups report many inmates face secret interrogations or illegal detention. Some were killed without due process. Even more shocking, Conader Prison's darkness went beyond jailing, violence. This prison bred corruption and crime. Its officials were closely linked to outside gangs. Leaks say prison officials and police resell female inmate services to crime groups, even letting gangs smuggle drugs inside. It worsened the already violent place, making inmates' survival even harder. After 2000, Egypt's regime shift drove Conader prison reforms. Rebuilding, government admitted harsh prison conditions and upgraded facilities to ease inmates' suffering. Reforms moved slowly, never-ending corruption or violence in prisons at all. Still. Number 5. Pottery Prison. Today Pottery Prison, now a historic landmark, draws tourists and buffs, yet its dark past still haunts locals and visitors. Pottery Prison, built in 19th century, held criminals and dissidents for Tsarist Russia. Its design intimidates. Built of stone and brick, ringed by high walls, with narrow windows. The prison got little daylight. Prison design aimed solely for oppression, isolating inmates completely. Inside were separate cells. Some lacked ventilation, leaving inmates trapped for years in brutal conditions. Most chilling, some walls still show inmates' scratch marks and blood, telling of their suffering here. From the 1920s to 1940s, tens of thousands suffered brutal torture here. During World War II, under Nazi occupation of Estonia, Pottery Prison mainly held Jews and other minorities there. Records: thousands of Jews and resistance fighters were tortured to death, secretly buried in nearby soil. From 1944, Soviets occupied Estonia, using Pottery Prison for prisoners and nationalists up to 4,200 inmates. Those deemed enemies, including Estonian separatists and other dissidents, faced interrogation and persecution. Even today, the prison basement is feared most. Many feel an inexplicable cold, and some say ghosts still roam there inside. Worse, it's a co-ed prison here. Women inmates face extra hardships. This included joint torture from both male guards and male inmates. Often they were locked in cramped, dark solitary cells with little shielding or soundproofing, surviving on faint wall light. Female inmates suffered torment, body and mind. Many couldn't endure it and took their own lives. 4th, Karchik Prison. Formerly an abandoned airport in Variman, southeast of Tehran, Iran, desolate and harsh. Yet prison holds hundreds of women convicted of violence. Conditions fall far below UN basic standards. Here is Karchik Prison. Inside, 7 blocks hold over 2,000 inmates, about 200 to 300 in each block. Cells were 9 square meters. 9 inmates crammed into 3 triple bunks, and 2 or 3 slept on the floor by toilet door. Prison totals under 1,500 meters squared, including admin and storage. Confinement under 400 meters squared under 0.2 meters squared per inmate. Prisoners couldn't sit or eat off bed. Most activities happened on it. Inside the prison lacked ventilation, making winters freezing and summers scorching hot. Swamps and pits surround the prison, breeding insects and rats year-round. Sanitation is awful. Here, 100 to 150 inmates shared 10 toilets. Only 3 or 4 worked there. Bathing was scarce. Few inmate showers, and warm water was brief. Inmates often fell ill because they were unable to bathe for long periods. Worse, prison toilet floors stay flooded. Inmates wear torn slippers, so their feet often touch filth and skin disease spreads. Prisoners endured disease and brutal conditions. Without medical care, even basic medicine was impossible to get. Although there is a clinic inside the prison, it is almost useless in emergencies. Officials claimed the prison lacked budget for medical care. Even family-sent medicines were refused to block contraband. Sick prisoners couldn't cope, so bought black market meds for relief. Also, Karchak's female inmates often face violence and then bullying. Reports say they suffer beatings, insults, and psychological torment. For those inmates who protested the harsh conditions, prison administrators would place them in solitary confinement with other mentally ill patients for further psychological torment. Third, Julia Tutwiler Women's Prison, on Montgomery's outskirts. It looks just ordinary, still peaceful too. But digging into this prison's history and inside life reveals chilling many secrets. This is Julia Tutwiler Women's Prison, one of America's most notorious. Built in 1942 as a women's prison, decades of use turned it into a byword for horror. Here, inmates have no privacy. Cramped cells, broken facilities, and filthy hygiene are unthinkable. This prison is aging. Many facilities fail modern prison standards. Overcrowding was shocking. Built for 400, the prison held 700 plus women, crammed inside there as conditions worsened steadily. Tutwiler Prison's most shocking fact is still its long-running abuse problem. In this prison, female inmates often faced bullying from prison staff. For decades, countless complaints targeted prison managers and some guards, but most were ignored. Victims' voices were hard to verify. In prison, women inmates had almost no self-defense. They were often forced into illicit sex with guards or inmates. Coerced abuse left women scarred in body and mind, sometimes suicidal, yet prison leaders didn't care, colluding and abusing power to hide countless crimes from view. Though problems at Julia Tutwiler Prison for women remain severe, public and non-profit pressure offers hope. Alabama State has turned to reform, aiming to improve inmate conditions and tighten oversight of operations. But reforms move slowly with little impact. Violence and bullying plague Tutwiler Prison, and inmates' lives haven't truly improved. Second, Valley State Women's Prison. This prison held a third of the world's female offenders. Isolated. Yet about 120 got pregnant monthly and 300 plus babies were born yearly. Unbelievable. Central California. This is Valley State Women's Prison, now a men's prison. Yet his past abuse of female prisoners still draws public controversy today. Valley State Women's Prison first ran as a facility for 2,200 inmates. Over time, the inmate population reached a staggering 4,000 by the late 1990s. Overcrowding caused aging infrastructure, scarce medical care, poorer security, and more inmate violence. In custody, female inmates endure inmate attacks and often face guard bullying. Corrupt, inept prison leaders often let probes die, denying victims justice. Imagine this. In this prison, when inmates ask for toilet paper, guards may say yes, but only for favors. Everyone knew full well the meaning behind this sentence. To get basics, female inmates traded services. Sometimes one act earned chewing gum, like circus animals. They amused guards endlessly. In this prison, no escape. They must accept fate. Every day they traded services for food, soap, pads, and cigarettes. Ironically, when female inmates get pregnant, they're treated better. No work, better meals, private rooms. For long-confined women inmates, it was an undeniable temptation. In 2011, U.S. media said the prison illegally sterilized female inmates without consent amid pregnancies. Many inmates lost their uteruses after checkups. Scandals shut Valley State Women's Prison, refocusing on inmates' rights and sparking nationwide concern. Number 1. Diyarbakir Prison. How much prison anger fuels the party's rise? PKK still fights Turkey today, and this is the infamous Diyarbakir prison here. Diyarbakir Prison, in southeastern Turkey, held tens of thousands after the 1980 coup. Many were jailed on only suspicion of anti-government activity, without evidence. By tradition, inmates were baptized. Guards tossed them into a feces pit. That was mild. Torture followed non-stop. For women inmates, Diyarbakir Prison was even harsher. These women inmates were tied to PKK or anti-government groups, or citizens arrested in crackdowns. The prison wasn't built for many women. Overcrowding forced inmates to endure hours of crushing confinement. Also, Diyarbakir prison staff discriminated against women, worsening suffering by denying even basics too little toilet paper and cleaning supplies in their cells every day. Even sadder, female prisoners often become pawns in politics for activism, especially Kurdish nationalism. Many women were arrested, then publicly humiliated and tortured. They were bullied physically and mentally, often scarred. Prolonged isolation forced female prisoners to admit false charges or confess under questioning. Psychological torment broke many women. Some went insane under torture, leaving lasting prison scars. From 1981 to 1984 alone, 34 prisoners died. Most took their own lives from unbearable pain or protest. Meanwhile, Diyarbakir inmates and outside party members staged countless protests, but prison conditions never improved. They only worsened further. To this day, the tragic stories of many female inmates have yet to receive a just trial and an apology. Well, that's all for this video. Which of today's 10 scariest women's prisons impressed you most? Please tell us below.